I've never answered this question publicly, but a lot of people ask me, John, your biggest YouTube channel is your true crime documentary YouTube channel, but you haven't used that in quite some time. And I never really gave an answer to why I haven't done it. When I was doing the true crime content on YouTube, I was in a very dark, negative place in my life. And so I felt like through empathy, I connected with people who were discarded, who were broken, and I wanted to tell their story because they were no longer here to tell their story. Talking about stuff like that is very draining, especially if you care about human beings, because you are looking at every detail in someone's life and you know what's going to happen at the end of the story to their life. And it becomes difficult to come out of a place like that, be happy in life, and then go back into these dark world places. It's like, just imagine, like, for example, I just FaceTime with my daughter, super smiling, and after I got off the FaceTime, I'm like, oh, I gotta make that video about Alex. Like, this isn't fun. You can see it in story time with Ricky as we're gonna play her two videos. Story time with Ricky is a funny person. Story time with Ricky is an energetic person. But you're not gonna see any of that as she goes and says all of these details because it is draining. I can imagine when Ricky sat down to turn on her ring light, hit the record button, she too probably said, but it is important to talk about these things. So we're going to talk about them. And I want you guys to experience it in a different way, how I experienced it. See, I was going down TikTok, and when you're going backwards, you see the last video. So I saw part 2 of Ricky's video, and then I saw part 1 of Ricky's video, which kind of put it in sort of a Quentin Tarantino kind of way. You know, Quentin Tarantino shoots his movies. You watch his movies, they're out of sync. You may see the ending first. And it just made me view things in a different way. So we're going to watch it just like that. And then I'll let you know what was going on in my mind as I heard more and more of these sick details that came out about this individual on the screen here. So without further ado, let's look at, to me, the second worst person that's ever been on the history of Love is Blind. Because no charges have been filed, I can't put him at number 1 because we know for 100% certainty the individual on Love is Blind Brazil did SA his wife. He stood right on the reunion and admitted to this as we saw this extreme trauma coming from this woman. So he's the sickest individual. But for right now, unless y'all can show me something else that comes out, this is the second sickest person that has ever appeared on Love is Blind. Let's get started. Okay, I think it's recording, so let's get right into it.
Hey guys, so here is part 2 of the allegations that are going around about Alex right now. If you missed part 1, I encourage you to go back and watch it, as we did unpack a lot of things there. We covered the alleged house parties that have been circulating online, accompanied by receipts, and we uncovered some text messages that an alleged ex of Alex found concerning, and she shared and addressed that concern. She also shared with me that Alex seemingly asked her to role play as if they were in middle school. As you can see from the text, he says, pretend we are in middle school and I just got your number from your friend and I have a huge crush on you and we are finally texting.
Okay, so I want to stop right there. So again, I will remind you all, I hadn't seen the first part. This is me watching the second part first, and this is the first thing that I see, that he wants to role play with his girlfriend. And I always try to be open-minded until I get like concrete evidence. So with this being the first thing that I saw, at this point I was thinking, okay, buddy a little weird, you know what I'm saying? He want to role play, but I wouldn't say that this is pedophile like stuff, because in this he says we both are going to pretend. So I'm thinking maybe he a little loser guy who he said that he wasn't popular, He said that he didn't get girls or whatever. And so, like, when he's saying that both of us are going to pretend like we're extremely young, I didn't think anything. I just thought it was weird. Because on one point, I get where that was an innocent time in your life. You know, you got a crush on a girl and you worry she gonna check the box. It ain't no real boyfriend, girlfriend, like stuff like those are innocent like times. And I'm like, maybe he like a kind of weird, different guy, and that's what he was referring to. Quickly, I changed my mind when Ricky says this.
She says, oh my God, okay, cute. And he starts with the role play. Now, she did say that her going along with this is a reflection of her trauma bond to Alex. And she often felt like if she didn't go along with these things, that he would get upset with her. She says that she did tell Alex that she cheated on.
He said that, she said that he's going to get upset if she doesn't want to go through with it. So let's just remove age out of the way, because I wanted to show you guys a really disgusting individual, right? So let's just say he had a normal adult sexual thing he wanted to do that he was into, right? I don't know. Let's say he asked his girlfriend, "I like to have risky sex, it like in the open and shit like that." Some thing you'll hear an adult person say, right? Just imagine if she was like, "Okay, I'm a little nervous about people seeing me or seeing my body, so I'm a little afraid to do this. I would like to do your sexual fantasy with you, but I'm a little afraid." If you just take that innocent thing right there on its own, and then you vilify and make somebody feel bad that they don't want to do your sexual fantasy, you got issues, bruh. You got something wrong with you off the rip. But now we got to add, like, Buddy is mad that she don't want to pretend to be a 14-year-old or young little girl. That's concerning. That's very concerning.
On him so that he would leave her. She said she does think that she suffered from some form of Stockholm syndrome and had on rose-colored glasses during her relationship with Alex, and she is still processing and working through what went down during her relationship with Alex in therapy. Another young woman reached out to me that met Alex on Hinge in 2018. She did provide a snapshot of their initial hearing on Hinge to confirm that she met him. She does tell me that Alex confided in her about something disturbing, something that he described as a mental illness that he cannot control. And now, while there's nothing to show that he confided in her about anything specific, what I do have is a text thread between the two of them where she expresses to him how what he confided in her about was triggering for her. And it was triggering for her because she was SA'd at a young age. And she shares that she's experienced a lot of guilt over the years for not expressing this or telling somebody about what he told her sooner. I am going to share those texts with you now. Trigger warning to anyone who may be sensitive to this information. Again, this phone number.
I love that she's going to confirm the phone number. Ricky is always on her stuff. If you start saying something just serious about somebody, you got to come with the receipts. Like in my other video about the other guy, Ben, I think that was his name, there was no receipts. Hella receipts all through this. Verifying his phone number, verifying that the phone number is public. This is, without a doubt, Alex. And here's when the disturbing things come in. Alex tells her that you cannot even conceive of how. No, I think she. This is the woman. The woman is in blue. Alex is in black. That you cannot even conceive of why what you told me could be triggering is beyond me. It's not bullshit, because it's literally what I guess sexual trauma looks like, especially when it's been deeply depressed. I'm sorry. You're right. You could have. I can't. Ricky's gonna move her. Let me let Ricky move her body up, and then I'll read the rest. But like, we have multiple occurrences that's gonna happen in these where he's showing he has zero empathy or sympathy for anyone. We already got. I'm gonna make you feel bad that you don't want to do my sexual fantasy of us pretending to be preteens. And now he's making her feel bad because she was sexually assaulted and he confided in her, telling her something that she deemed as triggering. Let's remove the underage stuff out of the way. Let's just talk about regular boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, right? Like you have a, it's almost like you have a duty to reassure your partner. You have a duty to listen to your partner. You have a duty to want to be there for your partner. In the way that you want her to be there for whatever sick thing you said to her, you should want to be there to hear her and go like, you know what, man, I was so worried about telling you this sick shit. I didn't even think of what it could do. But he does the exact opposite. He doesn't give a fuck about her trauma. He doesn't care about her past. All he cares about me, which is going right in line with narcissism, being a sociopath or a psychopath. I'm not an expert. I don't know those things. I think that I would love to check out when experts finally get their hands on this. Dr. Honda, Dr. Cherie, I think that's her name, the Asian doctor who breaks these things down. I would love to see their breakdown since they are experiencing these types of things and they have degrees in this right here. But it's showing me this path of where this motherfucker don't give a fuck about nobody but himself. And I'm not using the stuff that's gonna come later. I'm just saying so far from what I'm seeing right now.
Number has been confirmed and linked to a known phone number of Alex. This is the phone number, and this is the phone number linking it to Alex. So for context again, Alex confided in her about something disturbing, something that he described as a mental illness. She often was triggered by this because she was SA'd at a young age. She didn't know that.
So Ricky did move her face.
What
up.
Alex?
So right. So the woman says, "You're right. You couldn't have known. Like you couldn't have known that this would be triggering for me. Right? That's not the issue. You know, I'm not saying, you know, even though people with empathy probably would have guessed, he doesn't say what he admitted to what he told her. But she says, I just didn't know either, and you were a constant reminder, and when I tried to step away from that, you guilted me. You never even gave me time to process it before you just assumed it was okay. But God, that you could possibly believe that this could in no way possibly trigger someone who was raped that exact same fucking age. It's the key words that somebody says. Like, I'm like, yo, what? I'm thinking maybe he told her he a sociopath. But when she says someone who was raped at that exact same age, means it's leaning me to that he's talking about what he confided in. He's talking to her about some rape stuff. Why would she say, like, why? Like, it wouldn't make sense to be like, yo, I've been scared to say this. I'm a narcissistic sociopath. And I found out when I was 13 years old. And then his girlfriend go like, this triggers me because I was raped at 13 years old. Those things don't match. It would match if he was like, I had some fantasies of maybe about raping somebody when I was 13 years old. And then she goes, I was raped at 13 years old. How can you not think, like, you get what I'm saying? Like he's trapping himself to where he had to have been talking about rape.
Confided in her would be so triggering for her. So she oftentimes hit him up and let him know how it was triggering for her. That is what we're reading here. Okay, so we can see here, you cannot even conceive of why what you told me could be triggering is beyond me. It's not BS because it's literally what actual trauma looks like, especially when it's been deeply repressed. I'm sorry, you're right. You couldn't have known. I just didn't know either. And you were a constant reminder. And when I tried to step away from that, you guilted me. You never even gave me time to process it before. You just assumed it was okay. But God, that you could possibly believe that this could in no way possibly trigger someone who was raped at that exact same effing age isn't effing rocket science, Alex. I'm sorry, but you don't get to invalidate this. Again, it's very vague. It's not specific to what they're referring to, but from the context of this text, you can tell that she is saying something you told me triggered me. He goes on to say, I'm sorry, but I have almost lost all respect for you. In no way did I do anything bad. I have always done things to be helpful.
If you come to my channel and you know anything about me and my other YouTube channels, you know I hate that the world overly makes everybody a fucking narcissist. I mean, if you just an asshole, you've been dirty to somebody, you're a narcissist. Everybody is not a fucking narcissist. With that being said, the way he just immediately flipped this on her is very narcissistic. When you make the guy who don't like using the word narcissist say the word, like that shit was so fast, and this is the second time. You know, I'm mad at you if you don't want to do my 14-year-old fantasy. She is clearly expressing herself. She did not judge him for what he told her. She just saying like, it was triggering for me. because I was raped at the exact same age. And he goes and says, I lost all respect for you. This is a super self-absorbed person, the exact opposite of the guy we saw on the fucking show. This is some sick shit, bruh.
And make people happy. She says, I'm not blaming you. I'm sorry. I'm leaving. That's fine. He says, I told you a struggle that I'm dealing with deep down. So he does admit that he told her a struggle that he's dealing with deep down. Again, very vague. She goes on to say, but that was an effing trigger. He says, don't make that about yourself. And she says, and you don't get to determine that. He says, I do not care. That's not the point. She goes on to,
don't make this about yourself. I can have an opinion. Something I'll be like, I don't see how that could be triggering to somebody because it's not triggering to me. Not dealing with no deep shit like this. I'm just saying on some regular topic, right? Even if I felt that way, if I'm talking to somebody I love and I care about, even though it's inconceivable that it could be triggering to me, I still will have the empathy to understand that we are two different people. And even if it wasn't my intent, even nothing, it is a fact that I have just triggered my partner. It is a fact. It's not an opinion. No one makes themselves be triggered. It's not a button you hit. You see something that catches you off guard, it triggers you. So it's a fact. I just triggered my partner. I did not mean to. The fact that I did not mean to means I'm about to come to my partner's aid with reassurance and apologies, just so she knows that she can feel safe and it was never my intention, because I love her and I never want to do this to her. To do the exact opposite and say what this man said back to this woman is diabolical. It absolutely should not be a trigger. What? If I told you that I raped someone, then maybe it could be a trigger. So you're not saying you raped somebody. Again, in my subjective opinion, I think he told her he had fantasies of raping somebody. Or if I blank someone, we have to wait till Ricky move again.
to say you can't even get the opinion from someone else on who's right here because no one else knows. Why do you think that is? He goes on to say it absolutely should not be a trigger. If I told you that I graped someone, then maybe it could be a trigger. Or if I graped someone in front of you. I have and never will grape anyone. I told you about an idea that has nothing to do with you. You should be supporting me instead of blaming and shaming me. Shame on you for doing what you are doing. She said,
I am literally speechless. You should be supporting me. Maybe it's the true crime cases that I've done, but like Ted Bundy was smarter than Alex. Like, this is some on the nose, in your face, I'm a sick fucking puppy shit. I'm telling you from the cases and stuff this is some sick puppy shit. Like, why won't he put in the text message the 100% thing he said? That means he's intelligent enough to know I probably don't want to have this down that she can show later. So what that means is, if he does text something back, he feels it's safe that she can have a copy of. Which means he literally sees nothing wrong in what he's saying. I told you about an idea that I had that has nothing to do with you. You should be supporting me instead of blaming and shaming me. Not once in any text message have I seen her shame him. And what that goes to show is that in her brain, while she's dealing with something that's triggering to her, at the same time, she's still caring about his feelings enough. I'm just letting you know it triggered me. I'm not judging you for it. Some sick shit to me, and I'm still not judging you. So she's meeting her part that a partner should be doing in a relationship. And he's like, fuck you. You're not on all aboard to whatever the sick shit he said. I don't see how what he said could be anything other than he told her a rape fantasy that he thinks about sometimes. Because it's not matching anything else. Although I'll leave the door open. Maybe he told her he feels like he's a psychopath or sociopath. Because it's something about to come up that's going to lean towards that as well too. But in no instance do I see where she should be on board supporting.
I just got told by another person that it is a trigger. Google it, Alex. Jesus Christ, I'm done. Goodbye. You're right. This isn't worth it. Goodbye, Alex. And then you can see what he says here. Here is another text exchange. I don't know how it fits into the thread, but you can go ahead and read it. Clearly, this one was
The problem isn't that you told me, it's what you told me. If you knew it might be triggering for me. Hold on. How Ricky moves.
very triggered about something that Alex confided in her in, a secret. I described it as something disturbing, something that Alex himself described as a mental illness. She was specific with me about what he confided in her, but I am not going to say it here since there is no proof of it. So I will let you, come to your own conclusions about.
I like how Ricky moved out of the way. The problem isn't that, make sure my mic is on, okay. The problem isn't that you told me. The problem is what it would mean if you knew it might be triggering for me. And I was very clearly beginning accidentally right after you told me, becoming increasingly more stressed and suspicious and uncomfortable and overwhelmed whenever I was with you, but you still told me to settle down. All right, Ricky, we got it.
What he confided in her in about. So that is some more text for context. He also said that Alex confided in her that he believes that he is a sociopath. And again, these women tried their best to provide any receipts and evidence that they had.
All right, so now me watching this back for a second time, I was thinking it was one or the other, but it's looking like she's saying he confided something else, which it looks like he allegedly said that maybe he had some fantasies, some shit about rape. But she's now saying the psychopath is something different that he confided in her. And we can see here where Alex says, if I had done something wrong to you, I would have apologized, as I have no problem apologizing when I'm objectively wrong. Alex, on hurting somebody's feelings, it is subjective. It is objective to the person that's hurt. If fucking Ricky tells me I hurt her feelings, I objectively hurt her feelings. That's not up for debate. Her feelings are hurt about an action I did or said. That's objective. But on my end, I could think it's subjective. But if you care about somebody, you want to listen to them. You want to see why is it that you hurt their feelings. This way that he's reacting in only this second video is showing somebody that's narcissistic. Is showing somebody who may be a psychopath, maybe a sociopath. Because he gives zero fucks about her or what's going on in his mind. It's me all the way. How dare you? Guilt trip. And some gaslighting is going to come too. He says you want somebody who accepts your strong emotions and who can comfort and accept you regardless, but I am not that person. What? You allegedly told somebody you're a sociopath, and you allegedly told somebody something else that could be so much darker, and you want all this acceptance of you. But if she gets emotional about it, about an event that you are not challenging, did not happen, but it happened to her in her past, you say I am not that person? This is a fucking sick puppy. If everything we're seeing in both the videos that's coming out that Ricky is showing, if all of this is all true, this exposure could have possibly saved somebody's life in the future. And I'm gonna leave it at that. From the shit I've seen in true crime. Anyway, I do not care in the slightest bit if your friends think I'm a sociopath, because I understand the underlying fallacies that you have enforced that explain those opinions. My life is lived for the achievement of personal happiness, and so wherever I am, I am. I like the personal happiness of my friends and loved ones as well too. Matter of fact, I want everybody to be happy. Alex, Also, there is nothing inherently wrong. Wait till she move. This shit he about to say is crazy.
That this man said these things to them. So here's a text thread. If I had done something wrong to you, I would have apologized, as I have no problem apologizing when I am objectively wrong. You want somebody who accepts your strong emotions and who can comfort and accept you regardless, but I am not that person. So it goes on to say, I do not care in the slightest bit if your friends think that I am a sociopath because I understand the underlying fallacies that you have enforced that explain those opinions. My life is lived for the achievement of personal happiness, and so whatever I am, I am. And also, there is nothing inherently wrong with being a sociopath, and it can actually very easily be seen as a major advantage in today's society, as most successful / famous people are sociopaths. Again,
The shit that's getting me is that he would not type this if he don't see anything wrong with this. Bro, if you in a relationship, if you just living life period and you gotta explain why a sociopath could possibly be a good thing, you need to go talk to somebody, bro. You really need to go. You need to be in counseling, man. Because I'm worried, not even about your past, but what can happen in the future, especially if you become unhinged due to the fact of what's about to happen to you with all of this being exposed. I mean, your phone number is found on your company page, bro. Like, you out here like bigging up sociopaths because they can be famous. That's the most narcissistic shit. That's the most spot on the nose shit I've ever seen. Like I said, once I'm a friend with someone, we are friends for life. If you want to be friends with me, I will always be here, but I'm not going to change my emotional acceptance anytime soon. Of course you won't. That's a sign of I really hope you find peace soon, because you're definitely not okay right now. And you are. You're totally healthy and fine. You just have to explain how a sociopath could be a good thing. She not fine, but you're fine. She is a normal person. If you are triggered because you were sexually assaulted when you was younger, it is normal to be triggered by something that happened, triggering from your past. It's not looking like you're saying you had big issues with her prior to this right here. So you're saying you have an issue when she becomes triggered about something that is triggering to most people. Sick ass puppy, bruh.
These texts are confirmed to be coming from Alex. Phone number, proof that it's Alex. Again, I'm not here to make any implication, so do what you want with the information. I always say that when there is smoke, there is fire, and that there is no way that multiple women came forward with very similar stories about a guy that wasn't even announced on the cast yet, and that there was no truth to it. So hopefully these receipts that I have provided, and the text exchanges that you read today, you're able to form your own opinion on what you believe was going on. Again, I would like to state that no formal complaints or incident reports were found on Alex. I was not able to obtain any, was not able to find any criminal filings against him. Now, while I wasn't able to find any formal complaints or filings, I do believe that there might be something out there, because as you can see here, Alex is talking about just talking to one of the best defense attorneys in Minnesota. And he's seemingly talking about, he said, it could be up to 3 weeks before they charge me, and the police could just show up at my door at any minute. So I feel like there might be something out there. I just wasn't able to find it.
Remember, I saw this second one first, and then I saw the first one second. So I don't know anything about his past at this point. So when I saw this, I was thinking, they doing some kind of investigation, a case on him now? They got him this paranoid or whatever, that he's going back to confide in the person that he doesn't care about, if them being triggered about being raped. But I'm like, buddy, in some deep shit. He said that I could take a lie detector test for $500. That seems very true. Most lie detector tests around here are about $400. Seems right in line. And this is what I'm saying about him being a narcissist or a psychopath or something, is that this woman is being encouraging to him. She says, just put your faith in him, NJ, please. She's being there for him while he's saying, I don't have the capacity to be there for you in any fucking way possible. She's still being there for the man that triggered her. He says, yep, he said he could be up to 3 weeks before they charge me. And the police just show up at my door and arrest me if they do. Now, another option I thought about at this point is sometimes people would do shit like this for sympathy, right? Crazy people would do shit like this for sympathy, so he could be making this up. But here's the deal from what's going to be happening in the first video. If he's making this up and the police weren't looking at him for nothing, and then he put himself on Love is Blind, and then Ricky does his story, then everybody covers his story, if I'm the police department, what's the statute of limitation on them parties and shit? Hold on. Now, they may be looking into him for real. So, I don't know.
Also mean that he would be able to clear a background check. There's also this text thread where he was freaking out about his Facebook account being disabled. And you can see here that he says, now I'm going to be sitting in bed shaking all night because I'm worried that blank, which was another ex-girlfriend that I reached out to, but she did not respond. So I'm guessing she didn't want to talk, called the police, and they are going to be looking through my Facebook and are going to come to my house again. So something has happened. It's not clear what, but I wasn't able to find anything. And again, I don't know what this is in reference to exactly, but some type of legal trouble with the law. If someone finds something, send it my way. I'm just sharing with you guys what I discovered. Something that's much less important is that Alex did say on Love is Blind that he was wildly unpopular, wore a purple sweater to school every day, was bullied, had an afro. In high school, girls laughed at him. He ate his lunch in the bathroom, and pictures of him circulated from high school, and none of those things appear to be true. He was actually wildly popular. He actually had a music video, which we posted on the Reality Receipts podcast page, where he seems to be very, very popular. I just want to thank all of the women who I spoke with for coming forward.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. Like, I would have to see evidence that he's popular. Just having a music video doesn't mean that you're popular. You could have done some trash ass music that people was laughing at. He seems to be very fucking awkward to me. I don't know if just what she showed means that he was in fact popular. I'm not saying he wasn't. Remember, I'm watching this backwards. If that's all she showed, I don't know if he was popular. I feel that if you do have mental issues, that you can't consistently hide these forever. So if he was in high school going around doing a lot of talking around a lot of people, a lot of those people, he probably said some jokes and shit that was off-putting, which we're going to see in the first video coming up here. Like, you can't be in people's faces all the time and have these issues without them coming out, which people would have been looking at him weird as fuck. So, I don't know. But we about to go in reverse and watch the first video after she finished this little end part.
And being brave enough to tell their story. I know it hasn't been easy. I know a lot of you have expressed how this has impacted your entire life. Thank you so much for trusting me to tell your story. And sometimes we have to just believe women, because there's not always going to be a receipt to show that something happened. Sometimes the word of a woman is enough. I'm with you. I trust you. I believe you. And thank you again.
I strongly disagree with Ricky on that. I will say it publicly. Although this is the worst video to say it on, but this video is damaging from the receipts. You should not blindly believe anybody. Unfortunately, the only thing we do have in this country, in this world, is evidence. And how the country goes, the person who makes the claim has to provide the evidence. We should always focus on the evidence. And if someone is a sick puppy out here doing some wrongful things to women, I just hope that there is evidence that could put this person in jail. But also, if we make it that we're going to blindly believe women, look at these innocent men that are in prison who didn't do anything just because a woman didn't like them or they broke up with them or something, and they're spending time behind bars. They lost 16, 17 years. The star high school running back who spent almost 20 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. I would never, even in a sick fucking guy like in this situation, this don't fucking count. This is tea. This is evidence. This is receipts. I'm not talking about fucking Alex. I'm talking about the general notion that we should believe anybody, period, without any evidence. I will always stand against that. All right, let's go to the first video, which is me rewinding this because she put them all in one video here. But on TikTok, they were broken down. I think on Instagram, I saw it on Instagram, they were broken down into 2 videos. So this is the first video.
So a lot of you guys have been tagging me in the allegations being made about Alex. And honestly, I did not want to touch this story until I talked to the women myself. So yes, I personally talked to 6 of the women who came forward and made allegations about Alex. They were able to provide some level of receipts. These events happened over a decade ago, so they were able to gather what they could. We're going to go over it all here today. There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot to go over, but trust me, you're going to want to watch this video. So starting from the beginning, if you have no idea what's going on, Alex from Love is Blind season 8 was posted in the Are We Dating the Same Guy Minneapolis group. He was posted back in June. So this is before the season cast was announced. This is before he was on the season 7 reunion. It is before anybody knew who he was. When he was posted in this group, a lot of anonymous users came forward with some very serious allegations against Alex. Context behind these allegations. Here's what I found. So here we go. I knew Alex October 2015, April 2016. I was one of the girls who would party with him. I was 17. There were other high schooler guys and girls, all 15 to 17. I remember Alex, we called him Brownie. Alex gave us free booze and I believe weed whenever we went over. I'm not even kidding. The walls would be lined with alcohol. I knew he would be alone with minors, girls at these parties in the basement. I've been doing some digging and I found the house that he was renting. So I did ask 2 of the women if they were able to locate where these parties took place. It's worth mentioning that 2 of the women were able to look at pictures that they took from this home. And you know, an iPhone geotags the location or tells where a photo was taken. And 2 separate women were able to identify the same house. This is one woman, as you can see, it's on 10th by St. Bonaventure Church, which you can see in the corner there. This is an entirely different victim.
Coming from somebody who do true crime YouTube videos, Ricky was on her shit, man. Y'all probably ain't watched The Last of Us, popular video game turned into a popular show on HBO, but he would take 2 hostages and have them not face each other. And he would take a map and tell them point to location. If y'all answers don't match, I'm gonna kill you. Ricky took these women. Show me where it was. She don't know what the other woman is showing her. You just show me where it was. Ricky did some The Last of Us shit to get her. Don't ever come for Ricky. She is about her shit. You can tell she has a journalist degree, and I don't look at her as some TikToker. This is some beautiful shit to watch as somebody who does true crime.
St. Bonaventure Church and 10th Street. It's worth mentioning that one of the geotagged photos that I just showed you was timestamped December 12th, 2015, making Alex at the time 20 years old. One of the victims was able to provide.
Went and got the age at the time. Went and got the photos. You can't run. Nigga, you are here. This is the house. Multiple people have confirmed this. We got the date. We got how old you were. We know how old they were. So when you do your little video, you can't say you want a grown-ass man around some teenagers. Incredible. This is fucking incredible, man, on Ricky.
Provide a photo from these parties. Everybody's face has been blocked out, obviously, because they are minors, but you can see that there is tons of alcohol. I do have the address of this home, which is publicly listed as one of Alex's previous addresses. I did block out the address, but as you can see, this location is the same location that is on 10th Avenue that the victim's photos were pinging from. And from the pictures provided, you can see that this is the same home, same living room. Previous addresses are public record, so it is public record that this address is listed as a previous address for Alex. Before you say, how do we know that it's the same Alex Brown? The address listed right beneath it is also a previous address of Alex that I have a lease agreement for. Just so we know that we're talking about the same Alex.
Hey, Ricky. I don't know if you know the rules of Mortal Kombat, but you're only supposed to do one finishing move. Why do you keep spamming the finishing move button on this nigga? We got the lease agreement. We got the motherfucker real name. Like, I don't know what he gonna say, but one thing he can't say, I wasn't here at this time, at this address, at these parties with these underage girls. Like, incredible. Fucking incredible.
Alex here, and that address does actually link back to the Alex Brown in question. Here is a contract for another previous address of Alex. Some of the victims were able to provide multiple pictures from this home and these parties where you can clearly see a lot of alcohol and teenagers. This is just for context, again for context, again for context. Now it is unclear what transpired at these parties or in the basement of these parties, but what is clear is that parties were taking place at a location that Alex.
I said this before on another one of my channels, but like, this some crazy shit that was going on in my high school was when the seniors would graduate, right? You graduate in May, June, right? When school would start the next year, so they're 18 years old, they've been out of school for 3 some odd months. When the bell would ring at the end of the day and we walk into our buses or walk into our cars, the seniors who just graduated earlier before the summertime, they'll all be in the parking lot. It was some cool shit to do. And like, think about that. Like, you work hard to be a senior. You're the upperclassman, whatever. But like, there's still some guys hovering above you, and you're a grown ass motherfucking man now. You're a grown ass man, and they still come up to the high school. And I remember like what that teaches the youth, because you get in 9th grade and you see this. You get in 10th grade, you see this. You get in 11th grade, then you get in 12th grade. And so I knew people that when we graduated, I'm like, well, what y'all about to do? They want to come back. They want to go back to the school. I would have never done no shit like that. Like, in 9th grade, because you're teaching this to young, impressionable people, I said, I can't wait till I graduate so I can be the guy in my car. But as I got older, and I'm still a child, I'm still in high school, I thought that shit was corny as fuck. I thought that shit was so corny that when I graduated high school, at the end of the summer, I was supposed to go to the Air Force. I called my Air Force recruiter, looked around the city and said, can you get me out of here sooner? He said, I can get you out of here in 3 days. 3 days after I graduated high school, I was shipped off. Didn't tell my family, nobody, until like the day before. They all shocked, crying. I'm ready to be an adult. I'm ready to be a grown-up. Like, the day before I graduated high school, I'm working at McDonald's. I felt like if I worked at that McDonald's the day after I walked across that stage to get my diploma, I'm not some young kid with a high school job. I'm a grown-ass man working at fucking McDonald's. I quit that motherfucker. I couldn't be seen even though I'm leaving for 3 days. And I'm teaching y'all like the mindset that you gotta have. That even if Alex come out like, I ain't do nothing with these girls. I was just drunk, drinking and stuff, and I probably shouldn't have had them at the party, but we didn't have sex, we ain't do nothing. It's a different mindset. Like, my nigga, why are you partying with teenagers? That ain't cool.
Is linked to, and alcohol was provided to minors. It is also worth mentioning that no criminal charges have been filed against Alex, and there are no police reports or incident reports on file for Alex. I did check. Now, here's where things take a turn. You guys know on the show how Alex mentioned that he had a girlfriend for 2 years and she cheated on him the whole time and gave this whole sob story to garner sympathy. Well, I spoke to this ex-girlfriend and she gave me a little bit more details on their relationship. Now, she did provide photos of the two of them together, which I am not going to show here. She did provide proof that her and Alex were actually in a relationship. And this is what she shared with me. She said that he was obsessed with making her look younger. He asked her to wear her hair a certain way, asked her to get braces, and he requested that she dress younger. She said that one day they were out on a date. She was wearing a dress and wedges, and they saw a young girl. She said, to her knowledge, she looked about 13 to 14 years old, who was wearing skinny jeans, Converse, and a crop top. And he said, you should dress more like that. She also
This is why I said it was more powerful in my experience that I watched these backwards, right? Because I know me. If I were to watch this part 1 and part 2, I'm like, I don't know how to feel, because women come out here and they'll lie on you when they know you're on television, try to make you look bad. Maybe she making this shit up. But because in part 2, the first thing I saw was this man in text, confirmed, phone number, everything to be him, asking her to pretend to be a young girl for some sexual role play. Now when I come back and watch part 1 first, sick puppy. That's why this shit hit me different. Like, I saw this second. So now this shit is just, I'm rocking with her. I'm rocking with her, Alex, based upon receipts.
also said that when together, he liked watching young porn. Told her that you can just type young after any search watching. They will give you searches of people who look really young. She said that when they were together, that Alex warned her that there might be young girls coming forward accusing him of certain things. and to ignore them because they are all young girls who were obsessed with him. She did go on to say that
I'm not gonna say what I believe for legal reasons, which gives you all the context of what you guys know I believe. However, at the very best, like if I'm your lawyer, Alex, talking to you, this is why you don't party with teenage girls. You have a text message of asking your girlfriend to do a fantasy of you guys being preteens, and then you're a grown ass man at parties at your place where you are an adult because the motherfucking lease is in your name, surrounded by teenage fucking girls. This is why.
she was a TA in college and she would often read some of Alex's essays and just give her feedback on them. And she said that for his environmental ethics class at Normandale College, he had an essay on utilitarianism and how stealing someone's food and replacing it before they notice is the same as SAing someone in their sleep and them having no idea that they were SA'd. For context, utilitarianism is a theory that states that the best action is one that produces the most good for the most people. So I guess the point of the paper was to take a small example and apply it to an extreme. And
I want y'all to pay attention to the last two words. Most people. I'm gonna break this sicko fuck guy down with numbers. It says a moral theory that states the best action is the one that produces the most good for the most people.
See if the result still applies when applied to an extreme. Now, while I don't have access to the paper itself, I do have a text thread conversation where she raises her concerns about this paper. Okay, so let's get into these text messages. Before anybody says, how do we know that this is Alex? I asked for the phone number, and this number is publicly linked to the Alex Brown. As you can see here, he says, do you want to read my essay? I used the grape during sleep argument, might get an F. She says, oh my God, let me read it. Also be careful because your teacher might report it. He says the guideline for the essay is to come up with an actual situation in my life that I'm not sure was either morally right.
What scared me about that text is that he said, in my life. In my life. Doesn't that sound like he's writing from firsthand experience? So if you're going to write a paper and you want to use sexually assaulting somebody in their sleep and you say something that happened in my life, I say this right here because I know on my side, motherfuckers try to come for me with 12 sane fucking jurors are going to think the same thing I'm fucking thinking right now. That sounds like you're saying that you sexually assaulted somebody in their sleep in your life.
Right or wrong, and to analyze it from the lens of a utilitarian. It's just a first draft. She says, very interesting. If utilitarianism benefits everyone, how was the grape beneficial to the girl? He sends a face and says, did you read it? She says, yes, I'm talking about the last sentence in your conclusion. He says it's irrelevant because there was no effect for the girl. Just like me throwing my trash in the garbage, no.
I have to put Alex at number 2. I want to put Alex as the worst person in the history of Love is Blind. But the guy admitted at the reunion that he did do that to his wife. And can I tie them both? Can I tie them both as being both number 1 the worst people in the history of Love is Blind? Add this in a bowl together. Don't look at it separate. I'm mad at you when you don't want to do my fantasy of being a preteen girl. I'm mad at you when you don't want to hear something that's triggering because you were sexually assaulted in the past. Oh, if I sexually assault somebody and they sleep, There was no negative benefit for the woman involved. Okay, man, let's just remove morals out the way since you clearly have none. Let's just go back to math. That definition said the best outcome for the most people. If it's dealing with you and the person you allegedly assaulted and they fucking sleep, you sick, that's two people. If it only benefited you, that's 50%. 50% isn't the best outcome for the most people. It's sad that I have to go to math because I can never appeal to your empathy and emotions because you lack none, like a fucking psychopath. Fuck.
Effect for everyone else. She goes on to say, sure, but according to your conclusion, it benefits everyone. He goes on to say it doesn't have to benefit everyone. I never said that. She says, got ya. If there is an effect on a person from your action, it should be positive. If there is no effect, then it doesn't matter because it's irrelevant. Again, she's just raising concerns on this paper in general.
Here's a better outcome. A better thing you could have used, right? And I'm going to say something that's going to seem like a bad action, but it's going to be the best outcome for both people, right? Me and a woman wake up, the house is on fucking fire. She starts freaking the fuck out. Screaming, she's going hysterical. I'm like, we gotta go, we're gonna die, we gotta go. She's just out of her mind. She wants to live, but she is clearly shocked and out of it. I punch her in the fucking face, pick her up over my shoulder and get both of us out the fucking building, man. I don't want to hit nobody in the face, but I did an action that gave the best outcome for the most people at 100% because I allowed both of us to live. We've seen something similar to this in movies. You ain't got to say how you want to just assault somebody when you allege in video 2 that you got some secret problem that you alluding to, but you're not saying exact.
Taking advantage of someone in that context then has a lot of meaning and it just leaves me a little confused. He says, how? She says, taking advantage of a coward, I believe that's supposed to say coworker, by taking their food versus taking advantage of a girl by putting your inside of her while she's unconscious. Both are two different extremes. So again, they're going back and forth about the topic of this paper. You can pause to read if you want to read the rest. So this is all Alex. He's telling her that because she doesn't agree with.
Read this shit. After this, understanding woman, I don't say overstanding woman, is talking to him with sense. Even though she's been raped herself. Good Lord, this woman is very understanding. He tells her, I'm worried that you literally might have autism. Most people would say that is morally acceptable. Since there is no negative outcome for the victim, therefore she is not a victim because it doesn't affect her. It doesn't affect here. He's talking about sexually assaulting someone in their sleep. I have no words. I don't even need any words. We're all sane human beings. We're all feeling the same thing right now, I'm sure.
The paper that he's worried that she might have autism. Since there is no negative outcome for the victim, therefore, so I take the same theory and apply it to a very serious issue, SA. So again, a very concerning conversation. I'm not saying this proves anything. I'm not making any implications here. I'm just showing you an alarming conversation that raised some eyebrows in her mind as well. Mixed with all of the other allegations, it definitely is concerning. Got a 79 out of 80 on the paper. In this text thread, the victim confided in him that she had been SA'd at 9 years old. He says, do you think it negatively impacted your life? She says, not as much as it could have. I repress the memory so much that sometimes I forget it ever happened, actually. It's so disgusting and horrible. He says that guy is crazy to do that shit at a public pool. What a weird thing. Not do it at all in a public pool.
My man Alex went in and critiqued the method a guy used to rape a 9-year-old girl and said that basically I'd have done it better. Public pool, that guy crazy. Not the fact that he did it. Again, don't look at these as separate incidents. Put them all in a pot. I want to do this with you, and I want us to pretend we preteens. I want to go to parties and drink with children, with little kids. I want to write a paper about sexually assaulting someone in their sleep because they asked me to write a paper based upon something in my real life. And when some, I don't know if this is the same woman, because one woman was assaulted when she was like 13 years old, and this one assaulted when she's 9 years old. When she tells me that, and I asked her, did it negatively impact her life? Let me tell you something, Alex. When she says not as much as it could have because I repressed it, the repression or the attempt to repress this is also a negative impact on her life. And then you come out and critique the method. But that's not the worst part. Here comes the worst one.
Most concerning part is he says, were you asking for it? I'm kidding. I'm so sorry.
Sociopath, I'm sorry, narcissist. The fact that, like, what human being would make that joke? Now, that's horrible by itself, but we gotta put it in the pot. I'm going to make a joke and ask you if you were asking for it as a 9-year-old little girl who was raped in a public swimming pool. I'm going to critique the man's method for using a public swimming pool. He should use another place. I'm also going to go out here and drink with teenagers. I'm also going to write a paper of sexually assaulting somebody in their sleep. I'm also going to have a girlfriend who was sexually assaulted, and I'm going to make her feel like she's a bad person because she's not on my side when I confide in her because it's triggering because she too was raped. We put all this in the motherfucking pot. Put it in the oven. Put it on 400 degrees. What are we baking here? This is a sick fucking puppy. And I'm going to confidently say this. I, in my subjective opinion, believe in Ricky exposing these things with the tea and the information she put out could possibly have saved somebody's life in the future. And I mean that shit. I mean that shit.
I didn't expect this video to get this long. There is more. Go to part 2. Okay, guys, so here is part 2 of the...
Oh, and for my black people out there in closing, I don't know where it didn't pop up on here, but you can go to her Instagram. He does call black people the N-word as well, too. And Ricky did show the receipts for that as well, too. So you can add that in to everything else about this sick motherfucker. I said at the beginning of part 1 how, no, Netflix would not have known this. But then I put Netflix down by saying that you still aired. You still found out after the fact. You still went on with it. But I want this to be important to end this video that, like, there's no way I could work for Netflix and watch part 1 and part 2 of Ricky's video. And just as somebody who loves human beings, love people, I could not hold my head up high that this person was allowed to be aired on the show. I could not want to have a serious meeting with my staff. I could not want to just not go our full process and say, what can we do? We have got to do something better. I could not defend and be happy with my results. That a human being like this made it onto the show, not only made it onto the show, but fooled all of the viewers and us watching that he was one of the nicest people we've ever seen on fucking Netflix. In a season where almost all the guys look and dress alike. Hidden very well. Dressed like a fucking Ted Bundy. I could not be. Chelsea in Seattle, married to Kwame, got a nice job at Netflix on casting. One of the things I liked about you was the amount of empathy that you showed. In showing all of this empathy, be that person for real. Be upset right now. If you come out here being defensive about this Alex shit, I don't even know what to tell you. You should be hurt that this man made it through the process. And you should be fanatical about doing everything under the sun to stop this from happening again.